Welcome to the Heart of Giving. As you know, this program is about the nonprofits, and you hear wonderful stories of people that are working in our community to make lives easier and better and more learning, all of the things that we have needs for in our community. Today is no exception. We have two women here today that are from the EntreNous Youth Empowerment Services, that's different. And they have been working with our youth for several years, and I'm so glad to have both of you here. And you are co-directors, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and we have Sarah Silva and we have Kim Hughes.
Yes.
So nobody probably knows exactly what this is. So what is the EntreNous Empowerment Organization?
EntreNous Youth Empowerment Services is a leadership development program for 16 to 24-year-olds
Oh my.
who live in economically distressed neighborhoods. The idea is that we combined leadership development with education and occupational training to help young people develop a sustainable future for themselves, their communities, and their families.
Well, that's a lot.
That
and
is a lot.
how do you do that? What do you emphasize? How do you how do you get this message across? Where do they come from? What are the elements because that's a lot. And I know you've got some good stories. So which one are you, Kim? Okay.
So basically, well, our young people come from all over. They find out about us from word of mouth. And what we do is we invite them into our space and talk about what are the things that we can do to help them move forward. Many of them have been unsuccessful in a traditional program or a traditional high school, and so they're looking for something different. And we provide that something different by having a safe, inclusive space. It's a small space. We generally have no more than about 100 young people at any one time, and we give them an opportunity to learn how to advocate for themselves and how to become leaders within themselves.
Okay, now do you get mainly high school kids?
So all of our
Then older ones?
So all of our young people come to us without a high school diploma. So they've all either dropped out or been pushed out of traditional
and
education.
are they referred to you, or do they just find you?
Most of the time they just find us.
Is that right?
We do get some referrals from the school districts, from the probation departments, from other nonprofits that are in the area that work with a similar population. But much of our referrals come from word of mouth or from family members that have heard about our program or seen a flyer somewhere.
So it's by word of mouth, and also flyers that you send out and schools that you contact, and they send the young people to you. And do they want to be with you, or do they think, oh, I have to be here? What is it?
Well, EntreNous
Was that a wrong question?
No, that's a good question. So EntreNous, we actually operate Compton Youth Build, and Compton Youth Build is part of a national and international organization, Youth Build USA. And so this program is well known and well respected throughout the world.
Oh.
And so many of our young people, they've heard of Youth Build, so that they know
They've
when
heard
they
of
come,
Youth Build.
They've heard of Youth Build. And
Not
so,
not EntreNous.
right. So EntreNous is the parent organization, and we operate Compton Youth Build as on our T-shirts. So our young people know about Compton Youth Build. They've had friends and family members that have been successful, and so they know what to expect.
And we get a mixture. Some young people are referred to us from probation department, and they have to be with us. And so it takes a little while for them to realize that this is a place that could be beneficial for them. But most of the rest of our young people, especially those that are over 18, they have no requirement to be with us. They're there because they feel like there's something valuable that they can get from us that will help them in their future.
So Youth Build is part of the empowerment program.
Correct.
But that's not the only thing you do. Or is that you just put another name on Youth Build?
That is the primary program that we have right now, because our agency is really focused on youth development, so that is the focus, although we also provide services to family members and to parents, but it's of the young people that are involved in the Youth Build program.
And let's say that a youth comes to you. Take me through the process. What do you do to them?
So
I know you talk to them, but I mean...
They pick up the phone, they call, and the first part of the process is coming to an information meeting.
Okay.
We have information meetings every Tuesday at 4 o'clock because we really want a young person to know when you step through our doors, this is what we're really all about. So rather
this
than
is what
just,
we offer.
Right. Rather than just enroll them, we come to an information meeting. The information meeting is usually about 30 to 45 minutes, and we go over what all the components of the program are, what the benefits are, but also what the expectations are. Because at the end of the day, we are kind of a virtual work world. We want our young people to know what happens in the what after. What happens after you get that piece of paper, that high school diploma, those skills. How are you going to have a sustainable life? So we talk about the benefits, we talk about attendance, we talk about appropriate behavior, we talk about how to advocate for themselves. There's so many aspects of being a successful person in our communities that we want our young people to know what the expectations are
and
for them.
And do both of them come back?
Oh, God, yes.
They all come back? After
Not all of them. Oh. not all of them are ready. We have a kind of a saying that is, this program is made for everybody, but it's not for everybody. 'Cause sometimes you're just not in the right space mentally to be there. So sometimes they check it out and they come back a year later. But they do come back a lot.
Okay, now all of the things that you said are wonderful. How do you give them this knowledge? Do you have training programs? Do you have, tell me, what's the next step after they come back?
So once they decide that they want to apply, there's a whole registration process, of course. But once they kind of get through all of that administrative stuff, we have what's called mental toughness orientation.
Oh my.
And that, it's not physically tough, it's mentally tough. Are you in a position in your life mentally to try something different? We know for many of our young people that they've had negative experiences, especially with education. So they have to be prepared to try something different. If they come in with the same mindset that they've had, that the education system is just trying to put them down or that teachers don't care about them, then they're not going to have a successful outcome.
But they know they need more education.
I think that society tells them that they need more education. I don't know that when they come, they truly believe that because education has not been made relevant to their life. What they're learning in traditional schools, they don't see themselves reflected in the content that's being taught, or how is this skill going to ever help me in my life put food on the table? So we go through this whole kind of orientation process where young people get to experience what we're about. We get to experience whether or not young people are ready. If they make it through mental toughness, then they start in either the academic program, which is a high school diploma, or into one of the two occupational programs, which is culinary arts hospitality, or the construction building trades training program.
Now I think I wanted to get to that. So they either, but in getting their high school diploma, they have to take some classes, and if they want a skill, you have these two skills that you put them into. Well, and how long do you keep them?
So it depends on how close a young person is to getting their high school diploma.
I see. Of course.
The minimum really that anyone is with us is usually about 6 months, but we've had young people who have been with us as long as 3 years. It really depends on where they're starting from.
Okay, if you've got your high school education and you're 19, what do you give them? The skills?
So they're eligible for both of the occupational training programs.
I see. And how many services, how many people do you take care of and talk with a year, maybe?
So in any given year, we probably serve about 200 young people. They stay for varying lengths. Some are successful in the program and some leave us for a while and then maybe come back at a later time. But at any given time, there's really no more than 100 young people in our space.
That's wonderful. Well, I think they're going to show telephone numbers where they can get in touch with you. But and I see where our time is almost up. But tell me a good story of something that just stands out to you. And some student, what do they need? Who's going to do that?
I would say Kimmy. Tell about Kimmy.
So we had a young woman our first year. Her name was Kimmy, is Kimmy. She was 17 and very young and very quiet. She didn't want to talk to anybody. All she wanted was to be left alone. She really had no voice or way of advocating for herself. She had some tragedy happen in her family and was unfortunately taken into foster care during the middle of our program year. And she raised such a fuss with the foster care system because they placed her in a foster care all the way up in Palmdale. And our program is located in Compton. Mm-hmm. And she fussed and she screamed and she said, I don't care what you do to me, but you've got to get me back to Compton Youth Build. Mm. And I think that that was when Kim and I really started to realize that our young people were feeling safe in our space and identifying that it was somewhere positive that they wanted to be. And sure enough, they did move her back to Compton so she could finish our program. And she ended up being one of our graduation speakers that year with her
wonderful.
Class.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, that's, to help young people find a way when they're so lost, and so many are. It's just that they have to accept it and have to kind of come to grips with themselves and say, do I want this the rest of my life? So good for both of you. That's wonderful. How long have you been in operation here?
We're just finishing our third full program year. We've been open for 4 years, though.
4 years. Well, and you get mostly the youth from Long Beach, from the north part of Long Beach?
Right. We can serve
it's
young
closer
people.
To Compton.
We can serve young people anywhere in LA County, and they come from all over. We get a tremendous amount of young people from Long Beach. From the north and a little bit from the south. We're very accessible. We're right off the blue line, so that they can get to us very easily.
Yeah, I was thinking of transportation in our area.
It's so easy. The 51 and the 52 run right up Long Beach Boulevard, so it's super easy to get to us.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, I love this. This is wonderful.
Thank you.
This is something I hadn't heard of as much, and I think you're doing a great job. Congratulations to both of you, Kim and Sarah. Thank you so much for being here.
And we have something for you.
Oh my.
We wanted to share our pen.
Oh my. Oh, it's a nice pen.
Thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Nice to have you with us.
All right.
Thanks. We'll be right back. Welcome back to another segment. We have something that will make you proud in our city of Long Beach. We have Centro Cha, which has been in operation for over 15 years, I think. Anyway, it's been a part of our life since that time. And Jessica Quintana has been with it since the very beginning. We're so glad you're with us. And Leticia Mata, we're so pleased that you're here to talk about this program that has affected so many lives of our young youth in the city of Long Beach. And Jessica, let's start with you. What is Centro Cha? I mean, everybody knows about it, but for the few that don't, what is that?
Well, Centro Cha, as you know, Beverly, is a hope for many youth and families here in the city of Long Beach. And yes, I started Centro Cha back in 2002. And just really trying to create that space and place for youth to come and have a home and be able to grow and learn and prosper and really reach their full potential. And so what Centro Cha is to a lot of families and a lot of youth here in the city of Long Beach is really having that second chance, really opening doors and increasing their knowledge and being able to know what exists in this city. You know, for the first time being able to have that bridge to college, to getting a good job, to having job training and really having appreciation of their community where they come from. And so, you know, we do that through many different tools that we use and through culture, through art, through workforce development and training, and really working with the families and very comprehensive. I mean, that's kind of how we've been successful with the program.
Well, you know, when I was in office and we were talking about this was during, and as you reminded me, during the time that we were doing our empowerment study.
Absolutely.
And we were trying to find out the things in the city that needed help, the areas of the city that were most impacted. And I think Central CHA and you were the very beginning of the program that came out of that particular need that was identified during the empowerment study that we did. Is that right?
That's correct. And that happened, Beverly, in 2001. And, you know, you convened every person in this city from every corner to come together. I think we had over 300 people that participated in that empowerment zone.
Yeah, that was, well, I'm glad you were on the program, or on the list of people involved with it, because you certainly hung in there doing what you've been doing, and I know you've seen thousands and thousands of lives. Now, let's get back to Central CHA. Where are you located, and how did people find out about you?
Well, we're currently located at on Anaheim and Locust. We just recently transitioned into a new space. As you know, there was, you know, we were at the Center for Working Families on Atlantic Boulevard, and you know, there were some challenges with some of the economic issues that happened. And so I know the state wanted some of their redevelopment properties, and so, you know, the property got sold, and so we transitioned into a new property, which historically, I know you know this property, which is the Packard building on Anaheim and Locust, where the old Packard cars and the
yes.
showroom. And
well, that's
so
a large space, isn't
it's
it?
a huge space. And so luckily, you know, under the leadership and partnership with Michelle Molina, you know, offered generously some space for us to be able to operate some of our programs there. And so it's going to kind of be like a co-op with Centro CHA and other nonprofit agencies, and really, you know, trying to have this hub of different organizations doing good things for the city of Long Beach.
And what keeps, and I'll ask you, Letitia, what keeps, when people find you, what do they need, and what do you offer specifically to them?
I think the success of Centro CHA is what Jessica and both of you identified earlier, and that's the collaboration and the partnerships that we have throughout the community. I started with Centro CHA back in the early 2000s, providing financial education to the youth.
That was one of the things that you offered.
And that was one of the key programs with the LIFT program. For the kids, and working for a credit union. We believe in the spirit of people helping people, and our key focus is that of financial education and helping others to succeed. We want to create consumer-friendly, savvy youth that's going to prosper and become self-sufficient. So when we started giving the classes to the kids, we'd give them homework to go back and balance their checkbook and or their parents' checkbook, and they'd come back and say, well, my grandfather wants to take your class. And so we started expanding our programs.
I would have needed it.
And we
I
started
still do,
doing
probably.
we started doing the family budgeting, and they became very successful. And now with every program the Centro CHA does, we incorporate the financial education piece onto it. As a matter of fact, we reached out to the National Credit Union Foundation, and we were able to get a group of at-risk teens to go through a whole series of financial education that included budgeting, the value of credit, home buying, auto buying, investment options, and most of the ones who completed the program, we were able to offer them a $500 stipend award to open up an account, a free account with the credit union. And we were able to help them with higher education. And some of those students, I'm happy to say that we have followed them throughout their path. And some of them have graduated from college and are on to bigger, better things in their lives. And now they're coming back and giving back to our organization. And it's just,
Oh,
I know that
heaven's sake, that's
Jessica
wonderful.
could speak a
Some
little
of
bit
them work
more
for me.
about that.
No, is that right?
So a lot of those students work for
And
me.
they give back to the community as well. And so that's why I'm so passionate about the organization. And I know that we couldn't have done it with the collaboration and the help that we have with the city, with some of the other not-for-profits in the area, really coming together. So it's really nice to be able to have a new home where we have a
Space
cooperative
for it,
space. Yes.
Well, that's really important, because even the students that start college, if they want financial aid, have to come up with budget and all of this. And most people never have done this at that age. So even the people that didn't need your help still really did need your help. So.
And it's really exciting because when they first start out, one of the key questions that we ask is, what are your goals? What are your financial goals? And none of them can answer. And at the end of the session, they all want to become entrepreneurs. They want to start their own businesses.
Oh my!
They want
That's
to buy
exciting.
their home, and they want to help their families. And it's exciting to be able to do that and to help make a difference.
Well, that's really an important aspect of your program, but people that come to you don't even know they need that.
They don't even know they need that.
Yeah, but what they need more probably is, how can I get out of the feelings that I have, and my family needs help,
Yes.
and so explain that.
Sure, and Beverly, as well as we do. Our communities. The city is a great city, but we still have pockets of community that have high impacts and high needs, and impacted by violence and crime and low education and language. And so it's important that we reach those folks, because they're still in silos. They're disenfranchised. They don't know what exists.
So what do you do to help them?
And so what we do is they come to our doors. We help them through doing an intake and an assessment, and we offer them our programs of getting to college, making sure that they have
Getting their degree,
mentoring to
high
stay in
school degree.
school. Looking at their grades, working very closely with the Long Beach Unified School District through their Parent View program, making sure that we're educating the parents how to look at their child's pathway to not only completing high school, but going on to college. What is required from the students while they're in school from K to 12. And that's very important. Sometimes the parents don't understand, what is required of the students, nor do the students understand. And so we're able to look at their school records and really help them, track where they're at and what classes they need to take so they can have a successful graduation, because that comes first. And then really developing the skills and the life skills and the knowledge and how to get along with one another, conflict resolution, having, personal health care, and just understanding how to, respect and get along with each other. And so I think that, that's one of the main things that a lot of our communities are kind of lacking. They're lacking a place to go that's culturally and linguistically, sensitive to their needs. And inviting, you have to be that safe place. You have to be able to be that warm home to where they can come and they feel comfortable.
I remember in the past that I was there one day when you were on Atlantic, and they were all there. There must have been 25, and they would come in one at a time, and you and I were talking in the foyer or something, and they were all kind of excited, and there was some meeting that was going to go on, but it wasn't, but it was casual, so that they didn't feel as though they were having to learn anything, but it was more of an interaction that was comfortable and joyous.
And I think that's the best practice, Beverly. And I think, a lot of caring with our young adults has to be in that kind of approach. We can't push them out. We can't judge. We can't say, oh, because you look this way or you come from this sector or community, therefore we're not going to help you. And so I think there needs to be understanding, because, the generations continue to evolve. I mean, I think we all said, oh my God, my generation, your generation, Leticia's. And then, I've always been in youth development. And so I thought, I'm always going to understand youth. And, it changes. And so, we got to be able to understand their what they're going through in their culture, and be able to use the best practices. And I think that's what we have done as an organization. We utilize the best practices. We get the best staff to work with our youth. We want to make sure that they have a place that's warm and welcoming, and then also has the most accurate information to be able to help them, with that journey, because that's truly important. And not only in the beginning when we were working with the youth, but what we found is you have to work with the whole family as a unit. It has to be very comprehensive. And that was telling to us back then when
that's difficult.
And it's difficult when we were part of the empowerment zone, and it came out that we have a high need of really developing a social service Latino organization, which we have. And then things are now, to this day, our population has grown. So we have, bigger and higher needs.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh, Beverly, we probably help over 3,000 students a year.
Is that
That's
right?
just the students.
In and out.
Yes, in and out.
Not the family.
And that
we're
doesn't
starting to
include the
see even the
families.
second and even the third
I hate to tell you,
generation.
can you believe our time is up?
Oh, gosh.
No.
Yes. And I feel like I've not asked you any questions. You've just told me almost everything, but there's so many more things I'd like to finish. And I'm sorry, we're all done.
That's okay.
Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here, Letitia and Jessica, and thank you for all your years of service in the
Beverly,
city
and thank
community.
you so much for
Thank
your
you.
leadership.
Thank you for
We
having
truly
us.
appreciate it.
Thanks
We
so much.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much for watching. I wish this had been longer. See you later.